Hey guys, welcome to the Drama Club. On this week's episode, we got some Ariana Grande mini scandal, and then May tells the story of the life of legendary comedian Andy Kaufman. Stay tuned.
What up, fam? It's good, y'all. Feels good, right? Yeah, I know it do. And without further ado, we broadcasting live from CA to NY.
And I really like Travis Barker.
You do, huh?
Yeah, I've always liked him. Like, since Blink was big, I always thought he was so fine.
Really? Even with like the tattoos and stuff? Like
I like love it. Yeah.
He's all skinny.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Sometimes the heart wants what it wants.
Did you even start Orange Is the New Black?
Oh no, I heard you say that, but no, I haven't even started it. So
It's good, man.
you watched it all?
Yeah. I do. I have to commend them for this. Is not. I'm not going to do any spoilers, obviously, but
Yeah, you better not.
I do have to commend them for really taking on the immigration issue this season.
Oh,
Which, they didn't have to do that. This is like a little victory lap for their show. Like they really didn't have to do that storyline, but they fucking did. They did the thing.
okay, good. Don't say anymore.
Okay.
Did you ever watch this movie Passengers?
Is it with Jennifer Lawrence?
Yes, and Chris Pratt.
Yes, I did watch that movie.
I was looking at Keanu Reeves' Reddit AMA. And back in like 2004, this fool said he was doing that movie. And then I didn't realize that movie had been in like production hell forever.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? Did you guys need to push this hard for this?
Keanu Reeves is not a good fit for that movie because
No.
it's kind of just more of the same, especially back in 2004. He didn't need to be in this movie, so I'm glad he didn't do it.
Yeah. Ooh, what are you drinking? It sounds like there's a lot of ice in there.
Ice water.
Ooh, that's the bet. That's a classic right there.
That's a bop.
That's a classic.
The OG ice water.
There's nothing like some ice water.
It's so refreshing.
The fucking mint in our backyard is like crazy right now, and it's like all over the place. So I only drink ice water with mint now.
What the fuck? Can you bring me some?
I can.
I want to plant
There's
some.
so much. Oh my God. It grows like crazy. I don't know what it is about Cali.
You can't kill it. But somehow, I have a black thumb. I managed to kill the mint that was in the backyard.
Oh, man. Because my coworker also has a mint plant, and she keeps bringing mint to the office because she's like, our plant is going crazy. I'm like, yeah, so is ours.
Is it spearmint or the other one, winter mint?
Man, what the fuck?
It's fucking yerba buena.
It's mint, bitch.
It's fucking yerba buena.
Fucking spearmint. Fuck you. How dare you?
A gentrified mint. My avocado tree has not yielded a single avocado this season.
Hey, but sometimes it does that, right? Like it'll skip a season.
Yeah.
That's low-key fucked up, though.
It's racist.
I would be mad as fucking I'm mad as fucking your avocado tree. That's rude as fuck.
I was gonna call the ACLU. I was like, how dare this avocado tree?
Call ICE on your avocado tree because it's some bullshit. Did you see that meme that I posted on my Instagram story that was like, white people on 90 Day Fiance be like, I'm horny, come home or I'm calling ICE.
Yes, we're talking to you, Ashley. How you gonna call the cops on Jay? His cheating ass.
I just saw that he's released from ICE custody after 4 months.
What? He was in ICE custody?
That's crazy, right? Maybe it was 4 weeks. Maybe. Hold on. Let me
still though.
confirm that.
What the
I saw that on the front of People magazine today.
Yeah, I don't fuck with Ashley because that shit is not a game. He's like the only black guy in her whole town, and she's gonna call the cops. Hello, 911. My husband cheated on me.
Yeah, 4 weeks actually. Yeah, when she called, it was low key uncomfortable because she didn't know what the fuck she was calling about.
Right, and she pushed him. She pushed him, and she called the cops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt bad for him. He's just a kid too.
Yeah, he is dumb, but she's dumb. Who the fuck? Why the fuck would you marry that kid?
Yeah.
Why would you marry that kid if he was like here, like locally?
Right.
But you're doing the most.
They met when he was 17.
Ooh,
They
that is
They got engaged
hella
when she was
sketchy.
18, married when he was 19.
Still looks kind of like a kid, like to me.
Yeah,
he dresses.
He got a baby face. Yep.
Yeah.
And those the gauges in his ears.
Yeah. Anyways, hello everyone. My name is Stephanie.
And hi, my name is May, and this is the Drama Club. This is a podcast about scandals,
celebrities, biographies, social media, reality TV, regular TV, movies, music, and more.
Welcome. If this is your first episode, I hope you enjoy it. We're on our bullshit. It's summertime. Hot girl summer. You know what it is.
Hashtag hot girl summer. What's good?
We got that ice water with spearmint. Oh, let me tell you the biggest scandal in my life right now. I ordered some pupusas from Postmates.
Oh damn! They know that.
That shit showed up at my house with no curtido and no salsa. I was like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Why? Yeah, why? Are you just gonna have a fucking pupusa like that?
I just started eating it with my hands. I just started taking bites out of it.
That's what you do with like leftover pupusas. Yeah. You'll kind of like eat it like that, like whatever.
So I was furious. I had to call customer service. And I was like, excuse me, but my pupusa came with no curtido and no salsa. And then they were like, oh, sorry, ma'am. Please accept this refund. And I was like, thank you.
Hell yeah. I make it clap. Okay. So this week, Ariana Grande popped off.
I mean, did she?
So Ariana Grande's homeboy posted a picture on his Instagram of a newspaper cover with it was like the famous picture of JonBenét Ramsey in full drag.
Yep, that's true though. Like the one that was like on People magazine when all that shit was going down, and
yeah, her pageant picture.
Mm-hmm.
So her friend posted a picture of a newspaper cover with JonBenét Ramsey on the front, and she has like the pageant picture. And he put, no one has done more covers. Then Ariana Grande slipped into the comment section and she put, I can't wait for this to be your Halloween look. And her friend said, working on it already or some shit. And then the internet was pissed.
I don't like this internet anger at this. I mean, that's I think that is like the biggest thing that you give up as a celebrity, like the ability to make like a joke in poor taste with your friends.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you can't do it.
Yeah, it fucking sucks, man.
Yeah, it doesn't suck, man. She's a fucking millionaire.
But at what cost?
God forbid. I can't make jokes about dead little girls. Nah, she shouldn't have said that shit. So then people are also saying that there is like a weird, strange obsession with JonBenét Ramsey. I think because we don't really know what happened still. You know, so many years later. But did you know that Jeffree Star has a tattoo of her?
Did not know that.
That's so weird, right? So somebody called her out and said some shit like that. Like, you know what? You guys shouldn't have this weird obsession with this little girl who died. And he like lumped Ariana Grande in with Jeffree Star, which I don't think that's hella not on the same level.
No. Because like, I mean, can we not joke about the Lindbergh baby? It's too soon. It's too soon. You know, it's just, I don't know. We could joke about whatever we want because we ain't shit. It's a touchy subject, and people jump down her throat. And she apologized. I mean, with the quickness, she deleted the comment.
She deleted the comment. She gave like a hella influencer apology. It was like, I want to thank my fans for always pushing me to grow, right? Wasn't it something like that?
Was it straight to the camera, or did she fucking put out a statement through her publicist or something like that? Or a tweet?
Yeah, I think it was, here, let me see. It was in a comment to somebody else.
Oh, she like responded to someone?
Yeah. She just responded to somebody who was upset about it and said, I deleted it quickly. I understand it's not funny. It was out of pocket. I apologize. Yeah, also, it wasn't that funny. But that's the thing. If you're going to do something like that, that shit better be funny.
But that shit is funny to her and her friend, though. That's like a little joke between. It's not meant for public consumption.
But she put it on a public domain.
Yeah, that's true. So, like, if you and I, let's say, are talking to each other in a public place, as we're wont to do, do you think it would be wrong for someone to, like, if I say something crazy, like, to step in and say something to us about our private conversation in a public place?
Like the podcast?
No, not like the podcast, because the podcast is for public consumption. I'm saying like
like if we're talking,
yeah,
and somebody butts in,
yeah.
I mean, that does happen.
I would never do that to anybody.
Yeah, but you don't do that. You wouldn't do that if I was saying something you didn't like. You probably wouldn't say it to me.
I would just change the subject.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like kind of people stepping in on this, but I mean, I'm glad she apologized if she's really sorry, whatever, but
yeah, they totally blew it up.
Who was her friend?
I have no idea.
She stays doing little shit like this that gets her into trouble, though. It's never like...
Not as bad as Demi Lovato.
Right.
Demi Lovato, actually, I'm doing the AD this week, and like, I fuck, man. Like, she puts her foot in her mouth, and she's like, they're both similarly feisty, too, kind of.
Huh.
But Demi more, I think.
Are they friends?
I don't think so.
But they come from like the same little cohort, right?
Disney? Yeah.
Like the same generation of Disney, or are they different ages?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Huh. Yeah. I want Ariana to get into real trouble. Like, give me a DUI. Give me something like that. Give me something where I could be like, yes. Give me a real ass apology. not
apologizing for donuts.
Yeah, fucking.
My cousin was all mad about that. Angelina, she was like, she almost got our local donut shop closed over her dumb shit. That
actually, now that you mention it, she almost got the shop closed. Shit.
That's why, and she was like, that was fucking rude. I was like, dude, relax. Nobody cares about those shitty donuts.
Wasn't it just National Donut Day? R.I.P. to that donut that Ariana licked and did not eat.
R.I.P. I don't know, but the other day me and Jose were dying, just kept asking Siri, when is National this day? And there's like a day for everything.
Oh, she actually knows?
Yeah. She kept saying, like, we were just like, when is National Burrito Day? It was like, National Burrito Day is January, da-da-da-da. When is Gummy Bear Day? National Gummy Bear Day is da-da-da-da-da.
Doesn't it? Sometimes it feels like there are several of the same day during the year. And I'll be like, wasn't it just National Avocado Day like 5 minutes ago?
Oh, it was National Avocado Day like this week.
Look at this.
Oh,
National
Gummy
Bear
Bears?
Day. Yup.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, Gummy Bear Gang.
It was National Friendship Day the other day.
Aww.
I told Jose happy Friendship Day.
Fuck my friends.
Fuck them kids. Fuck them kids.
I saw a really cute video the other day of a kid getting a shot. Or no, they were drawing blood from the kid. And like his dad was trying to distract him. He must have been like 4 years old. And then the kid saw that the blood was coming out. And he was like, aw, shit.
Oh, I think I saw that. Yeah, and the nurse and everybody started laughing. Yeah. Oh, man. Did you see that video going viral of that fucking lady who wouldn't sign the ticket?
Yeah, she got tased.
What the fuck? What was she thinking?
He said, you're under arrest. She said, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not. I like how she was like, you don't give a warning? Y'all don't give a warning for this? Over $80 fucking dollars. That's ghetto, bitch.
Her truck was nice though.
I know. That's what I was thinking. I was like, you got this nice ass truck, but you can't afford $80.
Shit, she had those nice capris though. She had those nice Chico's capris.
Hot girl summer, baby. We ain't signing no tickets.
No, I'm not.
I'm finna play with the dick in the car.
Wait, what do we say? We were gonna also talk about Mario Lopez.
Oh, yeah. So that was another thing that happened this week, which I not 100%. I saw the apology. I didn't see what he had said.
Mario Lopez decided that he wanted to go on Candace Owens' show. First of all, Candace Owens has a show.
Who's Candace Owens?
She's the black conservative who likes to open her mouth and say stupid shit.
Oh, ew.
She says that it's the
where does she have a show on?
It's like a web show or something.
Oh, okay.
She says that stuff along the lines of, oh, it's actually the Democrats that keep black people in new slavery. And
What?
yeah, she's like, they're enslaving black people and enslaving their minds. And she's just on some next level shit. She's
all right, I remember who Candace Owens is now. I see her fucking face.
Yeah, she's ultra MAGA, kind of. She's like the black Tommy Lauren.
Is Mario Lopez MAGA?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not sure.
I was dying. I saw Speak's tweet that was like, fuck Mario Lopez. He didn't even understand his Chicano heritage until he took Chicano studies in Saved by the Bell the college years.
I remember that episode because his name was Antonio Carlos, and I was like, what?
That's my uncle's name.
So he went on Candace Owens' show, and he was talking about how he doesn't let his children play with non-binary or non-gender conforming children.
Play with?
Yeah, he's like, our kids are not in that group. Like, they're not friends with those kinds of people. And he says that he thinks that it's dangerous to allow children to experiment or express themselves as the gender that they say that they are, if it's not the gender that they're assigned at birth.
Dangerous? How?
He said that a 3-year-old doesn't have the mental capacity to make this huge life-changing decision. But
what?
A 3-year-old is not having sexual reassignment surgery. A 3-year-old just says, this is how I
want to
feel.
Dress like this. Yeah, or whatever. And you're just like, cool, dude.
Yeah.
Or girl or whatever.
Dudette.
Dudette. Dude is non-gender conforming in my vocabulary.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he said that it's dangerous and that it's...
Why would it be dangerous? Because maybe they'll be transgender then?
Right. Yes.
That's what he's trying to get at.
Mm-hmm.
Why would that be dangerous? You fucking ignorant bastard.
And in part of the larger conversation, he also said that he thinks it's also dangerous to just quote unquote believe women in reference to the Me Too movement.
Ooh.
Because he, of course, was accused of rape twice in 1990, I think, and in 1992.
Oh, wow.
And the charges were eventually dismissed, but he says that, they
lied.
Right.
Right. Oh. Mario Lopez. Ladies and gentlemen. Well, then he fucking apologized because that was like the most ignorant shit anybody in the earth has ever heard.
Why do you even say it? If you think those things, why do you say it?
Because he doesn't think it's wrong. He thinks he's right.
You could just sit silently with those dimples. Nobody with
that
would.
Cake layer of makeup, those dimples. Don't go on Candace Owens' show.
Right, that's your first mistake. That makes me think that he could be MAGA because why
else would he? Yeah, he's got that fucking extra paycheck coming in like pretty regularly, right? Why would he need to do those kinds of appearances?
Right.
Ooh.
That's what Twitter was saying. They were like, you need to fire your booker, you need to fire your agent, because what are you doing on that show in the first place?
Unless he wanted to be on that show.
Right, and talk about fucking kids like that. Why does he
fucking
what's care?
Funny is kids do not care. Kids are like the most like kids are like my niece and nephew, like they don't think anything like the way these older generations think that certain things are like blasphemy or so different. They're only different because we made them different.
Yeah.
Like kids, they don't see it like that. Mm-hmm. As long as you fucking raise them right and you show them that everything's perfectly okay,
Totally. Hate is learned. You have to teach
it is
hate.
So learned. Yeah. Like they do not give a shit. That's fucked up too. You don't want to limit just in general, like why would you limit your kids' friendships?
Right.
That's the nicest part about being a kid is having friends and playing and
don't you
being carefree.
Want them to be exposed to as many different kinds of people as possible?
It's only going to make them better.
Right. Not according to Antonio
Mario
Carlos
Lopez.
Slater.
Fuck you, AC Slater. Remember you are a pig. What's her face had you figured out all along?
Jesse Spano? Yep.
Jesse Spano knew.
A couple nights ago, Showgirls and Striptease were on at the same damn time.
Ooh, that's a tough one right there.
I could not decide. I didn't want one to think I thought the other was better, even though I think Showgirls is better.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember Striptease. I don't even think. I mean, I just remember Demi Moore being bomb.
Yeah, that's the only reason to watch Striptease.
But I don't remember
Demi Moore's fucking body and hair and face.
Yeah,
and titties. But that's body
and butt.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't remember like the plot of it or anything.
There is no plot.
Oh, perfect.
But Showgirls has even less.
12% on Rotten Tomatoes.
But Showgirls has even less plot and makes even less sense, so it's even better.
Oh man. But Showgirls has like cult, like following. Striptease doesn't really.
Right. I really want them to do Showgirls at the cemetery. That's something that I would love
that'd be sick.
to go see.
Yeah.
If you're what they call a shy guy, that's when you really feel it.
All right, ready, me?
Yeah. Have I got a story for you?
Tell us all about it.
All right, Steph. This week, I'm going to tell you the story of Andy Kaufman.
Wow, that's pretty fun.
I got this from his E! True Hollywood Story. It's okay.
When did he die? Was he alive during his Hollywood Story?
No, he had died like in the mid 80s. And his Hollywood Story is from 98. The last part of the Hollywood Story is like the Jim Carrey movie should be released next year in 1999. I was like,
how funny.
Yeah, so I watched his True Hollywood Story. There was this website that just gave it. There's a biographer who got a hold of his diaries, and he was like a prolific diary keeper.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so there's this website, andykaufman.jvlnet.com, which has like what he was doing every single day for like a 10-year period.
That's cool. I always think it's cool to keep diaries. I'm someone who does it on and off. I'm not like disciplined.
Do you mostly do like a bullet one, or do you do like your thoughts?
I do my thoughts. Well, I used to do my thoughts, so I haven't done it in a long time. Now I have one of those. Have you seen those that are like a question a day?
Yeah, that's
so
cute.
I have one that's a 5-year one, and it is cute because I started it 2 years ago, and so like now I could see my answers like from 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and it's really cute. I actually recommend that for anybody.
A digital one or a
No, it's a you write in it. Yeah.
All right. So Andy Jeffrey Kaufman, and you know his parents set him up to be a weirdo because his middle name is Geoffrey, spelled with a G-E-O.
Oh yeah, that is fucking weird.
Geoffrey.
Yeah.
But yeah, Andy Jeffrey Kaufman was born on January 17th, 1949 in New York. Andy isn't necessarily someone that I think of being born in the 40s. It just doesn't seem right, you know?
Yeah.
It just seems like so fucking long ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Andy was the oldest of 3 kids and had what, by all accounts, sounds like a pretty typical childhood. The family lived on Long Island, very middle class, no childhood traumas that we know of. Everything was chill, which is a rarity for this podcast, I think.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that young Andy started exhibiting very weird behavior from kind of a young age.
Aw. Actually, you know who else had like a very normal upbringing?
Who? Chris Farley?
There you go.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
Yeah.
And his family loved him and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like a real normal ass family.
So, yeah, he was a weirdo. He was kind of an oddball, but so much so that he had to be taken to a doctor, like a psychiatrist, when he was 6 years old.
Oh shit. Oh man.
But the doctor said he was fine. He was just fucking weird. Like looking back on it, I think that maybe he's on the spectrum. Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Probably he's on the spectrum, and it's just not something that would have been diagnosed back then.
Yeah.
He was very shy, like very, very shy, and really kept to himself a lot. One of the only things that he was really into as a kid was performing, but not exactly in front of people, at least at first. What he'd do was pretend that his room was a TV studio and that the camera was behind the wall, and he'd put whole shows on by himself for no one, just pretending he had a TV show.
Oh.
So he did that from just about the time he could talk until age 9, when he finally took his act public. He started performing at children's birthday parties.
At age 9?
Yeah.
He's performing at other children's parties?
Yeah.
Goddamn.
He'd usually play records or show cartoons. So his act wasn't even he himself actually doing a whole lot. He was like basically just a showman, like an MC type situation.
I would love a 9-year-old MC at a party.
Right?
Yeah.
And he didn't get paid at first, but he did start to get paid when he was a little bit older, like 13 or 14, because he got a little name for himself. They were like, you know who you got to get for this party? Lil Andrew. So he wasn't doing magic or singing or dancing, or what he'd do is like play some music and introduce some cartoons. But he liked that attention so much that he was like, yep, I am a performer.
Imagine you're at a party and they're like, and now we're all going to watch Scooby-Doo. That'd be sick. Best party ever.
And then somebody plays this to like Missy Elliott. Like that's what he was doing. He had a playlist and he was like, oh, you know what goes good with this song? This cartoon, though.
Yup. Fucking Tom and Jerry slaps to this shit, bro.
By 10 years old, he really immersed himself in pop culture. He read and watched everything. He loved Jack Kerouac and Fellini's 8.5 and wrestling. He loved wrestling. I think that Andy would have really thrived in today's like post-internet culture because it really makes it easy for someone who loves pop culture to consume all the things that they're interested in.
Yeah.
Like for sure, he had to work to find, all these. He was interested in so much, so he had to find like all these old TV shows and all these old movies and stuff and cobble his interests together.
And now it's so much easier to find people that are also interested in the same things as you.
Yeah, that's another
So you feel
thing.
like less of a weirdo.
Right. So coming from someone who is also sort of obsessed with all these different things, I don't think I would have been able to be exposed to any of the shit that you guys know that I love had I been born even 10 years before. So I'm really impressed with what Andy was able to acquire as far as like knowledge of pop culture and stuff.
Yeah.
Besides his obsession with wrestling, his other big obsession was Elvis. By age 15, Andy had become a next level Elvis stan. He knew everything about him. He knew all his songs. He learned to mimic him to a T, everything. He also started writing a lot. He wrote quite a bit of poetry and short stories, and by 16, he even wrote a novel called The Hollering Mangoo, which was unpublished, but I think still fairly impressive for a teenager. And if you look at the parts of the diaries or like the timeline that this guy published from his diaries, a lot of them are just like April 6th, 1957, wrote a poem and the name of the poem.
Okay.
And then it'll say like, wrote a short story, the name of the short story.
Oh, cute.
He graduated high school in 1967 near the bottom of his class. I think I think Andy he's a smart dude. I just think that he was interested in the stuff that he was interested in.
Yeah. I mean, you a lot of people are smart and not scholastically like whatever.
Especially
successful.
High school, I think that doesn't necessarily translate to being successful in high school, but in college maybe because you're sort of more able to tailor your learning experience to what you're good at and what you're interested in.
Totally.
Maybe if his geometry teacher sat in a backwards chair and rapped, maybe. But I just can't picture Andy thriving in a traditional learning environment. After high school, Andy takes a gap year to try to figure out what's next. This was very risky because this was during the Vietnam War.
Oh, wow.
So if you're a young, healthy guy and you're not in college and you don't have bone spurs, chances are you're going to get drafted. But when Andy was 18 in 1967, he took one of the required psychological assessment tests while registering for the draft, and he ended up scoring a 0. So his draft for the Vietnam War was deferred on the basis of him being medically/psychologically unfit, and he didn't have to go. So Andy is kind of just floating around during this time. He takes a bunch of random jobs like dishwasher, a delivery driver for a butcher, and a cab driver, which is funny because he later stars on my all-time favorite sitcom, Taxi.
Oh.
He also starts drinking and experimenting with drugs.
Yup. He's like 19, right?
Yeah, and it's 1969, 1970,
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I think of this time, I always think of like all the music from like Forrest Gump where it's like down.
Yeah, just the whole Forrest Gump soundtrack. Yeah, for sure.
There must be some kind of way out of here. That's what I picture. So yeah, he was experimenting with these things, but it was nothing too serious, though. It seems like he mainly stuck to psychedelics like LSD. And at the end of the day, his experimentation with drugs and alcohol were very, very brief, because by the next year, he never took another non-prescription drug again. And it seems like he drank very rarely, if ever.
Oh, wow.
His friends say that everyone around them were deep into drugs, like a lot of young adults at that time, but it just wasn't Andy's vibe. In December of 1968, he took his first course in transcendental meditation. And from that moment on, it became a huge part of his life, and he meditated and did yoga 3 hours a day, every day for the rest of his life.
Man, I did yoga yesterday, and that shit fucking slapped. Like, I hadn't done yoga in, like, maybe, like, because I go to hot yoga, so it's been fucking hot, so I haven't wanted to go. But yesterday I went, and I just felt so good afterwards.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, my God, this is so good for me. I need to do this.
Don't you feel when you leave like your body has been renewed?
It's almost, I told her, well, it's like getting a massage almost.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Like, I feel just as, like, satisfied, you know? Like, I feel satisfied with my workout. Like, I'm like, okay, that was like...
I broke a sweat.
Yeah, I broke a sweat, especially in hot yoga, right?
Yeah.
Regular yoga, I never feel satisfied with that as a workout.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel, like, good, and then I feel, like, relaxed. I feel like I got a good stretch in.
Right.
Calm because of the meditation at the end. Oh, so great for you.
Yoga's the official exercise of the drama club.
Hashtag balanced hot girl summer.
I also do hot yoga. I do it. I try to do like a minimum of 3 days a week. Sometimes more. It depends. But I could never do 3 hours a day.
Oh, fuck.
That shit is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So it was almost like he was in the midst of this counterculture movement, and he was at a fork in the road where he could have done this drug shit, but instead he chose this hyper spiritual hippie shit.
Well, also, he's like Salvador Dali. Like, when you that weird, you ain't got to do drugs.
Yeah, that's true.
You are the drug.
Yeah. That's true, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all this, like, really took over his life. And no shade, no tea about the hippie shit. It's my understanding that transcendental meditation can be life-changing.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool and all. It just, couldn't be me. The closest thing I have to a mantra is constantly asking for a dry gin martini with a cocktail onion. But the transcendental meditation seemed like it was really great for Andy, because he said it kind of cured his shyness, which up until that point had almost been kind of debilitating for him. And through his meditation and through his mantra, he was able to bring himself to perform in front of people for the first time, like really perform, not just like the kid's birthday party shit.
Okay.
Anyway, so that same year, Andy enrolled at a junior college in Boston to study radio and television production, which seems absolutely perfect for him. That's totally what he's into, so it's great. And it also seems like he's making friends at school and sort of coming out of his shell more. His friends from that time talk about how fucking fun he was. One of his friends talks about how one time Andy called him all excited because an Elvis movie was going to be on TV that night at 8 o'clock. And Andy was like, we got to watch it. And his friend was like, cool, come over. And Andy was like, actually, we need a car and your TV because it's on a local station in Connecticut. So we got to drive out there and we got to try to find a place to plug the TV in.
What the fuck?
So next thing you know, they're in a car on a road trip to Connecticut and just like pull over like at a gas station or something and plug the TV
for a
in.
plug? What the fuck?
So he was weird, but he was also fun, and it seems like he was pretty lovable. That's the one word that everyone used to describe him. Like, he was so lovable, almost childlike. Like, the people in his life really understood that he was an oddball and could really laugh with him and be like, oh, that's just Andy. At age 20 in 1969, he hitchhiked to Las Vegas to try to meet Elvis. He saw Elvis perform and waited around after the show for him at the International Hotel for hours after the staff told him that Elvis had left the building. Finally, at around 4 a.m., Elvis came out.
Wow.
And Andy walked up to him with a manuscript of this novella that he'd written that featured Elvis all throughout it. And he was totally fangirling in front of Elvis. He was like, I'm your biggest fan, and I want to be famous just like you. And look, I write about you here and here and here and here. And I guess Elvis just slapped Andy's shoulder a couple times and jokingly said, "Boy, you're sick," as he walked away.
Oh no.
No, it was like a friendly thing, like, "Boy, you're sick." You know?
Oh,
like,
not like you're sick.
No.
Oh,
it was a nice thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna do an Elvis impression there, but it kept coming out like Cher eating applesauce. But anyway, Andy loved this. Outside of Elvis saying, "Wow, come be my best friend," this was like the perfect way to meet his idol.
Yeah.
And he was forever proud and appreciative that Elvis even gave him that brief moment of attention.
Oh.
Around this time, Andy's daughter, Maria Bellu Colana, was born to his high school sweetheart. But the couple decided to put Maria up for adoption, and Andy never saw her again.
Aw.
Meanwhile, back at school, Andy performs in a one-man show he wrote and hosts a variety TV show on the campus closed-circuit station called Uncle Andy's Funhouse. He gives local kids milk and cookies in exchange for them to come be his studio audience.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's kind of sketch.
Yeah.
He also starts doing gigs performing comedy at local coffee shops and strip clubs, and he creates the character of the Foreign Man, which is ultimately what makes him super famous and is probably what he is most known for. The Foreign Man is a character from a fictional country with a very light grasp of the English language and a vague, glassy-eyed look of confusion mixed with fear, I guess. It really is hilarious. In 1971, he graduates from college and travels through Europe taking teaching courses in transcendental meditation.
Oh, wow.
So
he's really in it.
He's so deep in it. So he takes his practice to the next level and, he starts teaching. Meanwhile, he also continues to write and develop more weird characters. When he gets back to the States, he continues to perform his act, and it's clear that weirdness becomes his trademark.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to call his act comedy, and he didn't call it that either. He just called himself a performer, and his act would sometimes infuriate audiences to the point where they would even throw bottles at him.
Oh, wow.
One time, he sang 100 bottles of beer on the wall from beginning to end.
Oh my God. I would be so pissed.
Another time, he came on stage with a sleeping bag and just got in and went to sleep. Sometimes he'd come out in character as someone like the Foreign Man and do bad old jokes like, "Take my wife, please, take her." Or like literally just come out and play a record of the theme song to Mighty Mouse and only lip sync to the line, "Here I come to save the day."
Oh my God.
That's the bit he ended up doing on the first episode of SNL in 1975.
Uh-huh.
If you've never seen Foreign Man, you should absolutely find a clip of him doing it on YouTube. And he was doing a sort of performance art that could be funny or annoying or extremely not funny or a lot of things. But no one else was doing what he was doing. And eventually one of his performances at a small rock club on Long Island caught the eye of the owner of the Improv. And he hired Andy to perform at both the Improvs in New York and LA.
Damn, that's cool.
By 1972, at 22 years old, Andy got a manager, and in February, he opened for The Temptations, which I'm sure he fucking loved.
Oh my God.
According to his friends, Andy actually would date and fuck girls in different characters and personas. And
that's a vibe. That's a vibe. Okay.
And none of these girls knew that he was pretending to be someone else because he was just so
good
deep,
at it.
Yeah, and so deep into this character. He became that character. Whatever character he decided he was going to be that day, that was him. Which is kind of that's kind of scary. Is that is that a topic of discussion for consent? If you don't know who if the person is claiming to be somebody else.
This fool has 20 split personalities.
You sure do.
Ugh.
So later that year, he makes his local TV debut on a Chicago variety show doing his Elvis impression. At the time, Elvis impersonators weren't a thing at all. He was for real the first and only guy out there doing it, so it was a big novelty. For the next few years, Andy works the comedy club circuit until finally in 1975, an executive at NBC caught his act and asked him to audition for an upcoming show that at the time was just called Saturday Night.
Wow.
Andy didn't get a spot in the cast, but like I said earlier, he did perform on the first episode doing Mighty Mouse and appeared 3 more times that season and made a total of 16 appearances over the next 8 years. So he was pretty much a hit on the show from the jump.
Yeah.
From then on, he starts making more and more high-profile TV appearances, like The Tonight Show, usually as the foreign man. He would do a thing where he came out as foreign man and do the bad impressions. There's a great one. There's a great one on YouTube where he's on the Johnny Cash Christmas special, and Johnny's like, "I heard you do impressions," and Andy's like, "Yeah, I do you," and Johnny's like, "Okay, go ahead, do it," and then Andy's like, "Okay." Then he turns around and he's like, "Hello, I'm Johnny Cash." then he says, "Thank you very much." And Johnny Cash is like shook.
I bet.
He's like, "All right." He's like, "That's okay. Do you do another one?" And then Andy's like, I do President Carter." And like he turns around and then he says, "Hello, I am President Carter." Thank you very much. So then he says, "I can do Elvis," and like the crowd is so ready for him to just do like this stupid like, "I'm Elvis, thank you very much," stupid impression. But he puts on the whole Elvis thing, like a wig, a jumpsuit, like he like curls his lip, and like he starts singing and he does a spot on fucking Elvis dancing.
Wow.
Like the voice is there, it's all there. And the crowd goes fucking wild because they had been conditioned to expect him to do like the other thing. And like they fucking love it. And at the end he bows and says, "Thank you very much." It's like it's really, really great. And
so smart.
And he does that act on a bunch of these shows. And fun fact, whoop, Elvis loved Andy's impression.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
He told his friends that he could tell that it came from a place of love.
Oh.
And I'm not sure if Andy ever knew that because they never met outside of that one moment. But like, if he did, I'm sure that was worth it because that's his idol, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that foreign man character is kind of popping off and making waves here and there. And Andy appeared as him on Hollywood Squares for a week and and on The Dating Game.
Oh, wow.
And when the Bachelorette didn't pick him, he cried and he said it wasn't fair because he got all the answers right. That shit is on YouTube and it's so fucking funny. Like,
I bet.
The first question she asks is like, "I'm Santa Claus and you're sitting on my lap. Like, what are you going to ask me?" And he was like, I ask what I want for Christmas." And then she was like, "Okay, what do you want for Christmas?" And he was like, "Food."
Oh, no.
Meanwhile, Andy continues to do his act at comedy clubs across the country and has now started to incorporate wrestling women from the audience into his act, which really pisses some people off. During one of his shows, executives from ABC catch his act and offer him a role on their upcoming sitcom, Taxi. They want him to essentially play the foreign man character. Andy kind of doesn't want to do it because A, he doesn't like sitcoms, and B, he doesn't like the idea of burning his character by playing him on TV every week. Because up until then, the foreign man was kind of real because a lot of people didn't know that he was a character.
Right.
Kind
like
of
Pee-wee.
Yes, like Pee-wee or like Borat. You know, that's why you don't see Sacha Baron Cohen doing Borat anymore because everyone's fucking like, well, that's Borat. Yeah, I mean, that's Sacha Baron Cohen. You know, it's not, you can't trick people anymore.
Right.
So he didn't want to burn out that character so quickly on TV. And he didn't want to be forced into that position just yet. But on the other hand, this was real national exposure. And this was his first opportunity to make real money. You know, he was just kind of like, he was making these TV appearances, but he was living paycheck to paycheck, basically, up until then. So at the end of the day, he had to say yes.
Yeah.
So Andy signs on to do Taxi and plays a character based on the foreign man named Latka Gravis. And Latka was a motherfucking bop. He was the breakout character. He's so hilarious on that show, and that show it's so well written that it was just it was a match made in heaven. It's fantastic. And that really catapulted him into superstardom. I think Taxi's on Hulu right now, so if you're interested, try to watch a few episodes because everyone on the cast is great, but it's definitely, you can see why Andy was the standout because he's simultaneously funny and just like his character is just so adorable and lovable, just like him, that people loved it. And in the later seasons, they give him multiple personality disorder, so he gets to play a little bit more and have a little bit more freedom, and it's great. Also, laugh out loud hilarious on that show is Christopher Lloyd. Try to watch the clip of him from the episode where his character Jim takes his driver's test, and you'll die laughing. Anyway, so Andy's taxi contract only required him to appear on like half of the episodes of each season, and he only had to come into work 2 days a week instead of 5.
Nice.
And even on the days that he was there, he was guaranteed his 3 hours to meditate and do yoga on set in his trailer and required absolute silence. So there was some slight drama on the set because people resented him a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, they're all working 5 days a week and they're all doing
Right.
this, you know, sitcom thing. And he's like he's the breakout star and he's only doing it 2 days a week. And he's got all these he's got this artistic temperament and
politics.
Right. But everyone loved him so much that any resentment that was there was small and fleeting. They're all just like, that's just Andy, you know? Andy was also given a 1-hour special on ABC as part of his taxi contract. And that was really the main reason he ended up taking the taxi job, because it also gave him this opportunity to do his own version of the variety shows he grew up watching. But it was shelved for 2 years because ABC thought it was too weird for mainstream audiences. Meanwhile, Andy created and had been performing as a character who was a lounge singer named Tony Clifton, who was everything that Andy was not. Tony was mean, belligerent, an asshole. He didn't meditate. He frequented brothels. He drank and smoked and ate junk food. And
I'm sorry, who are you talking about?
Tony Clifton.
Okay.
And it allowed Andy to play and literally become someone else. Tony had been traveling around the country performing clubs and doing a few TV appearances. By 1977, Tony Clifton wasn't just a character anymore because Andy would basically live as Tony sometimes. And even though there were rumblings around the industry and by audiences that Tony Clifton was Andy Kaufman, Andy refused to admit it. And when Tony made appearances, he would sometimes act violently if someone suggested he was Andy. He'd try to fight audience members or throw drinks on them. He was a major asshole.
Wow.
Andy's taxi contract stipulated that Tony Clifton appear in 2 episodes as a guest star. But when Tony showed up on set for his first guest spot, conveniently while Andy was on vacation, Tony showed up drunk with several sex workers demanding that they get parts too and refused to say his lines. Finally, on day 3, Tony was so disruptive that producers called Andy and asked what they should do, and Andy said they should fire him. So star of the show, Judd Hirsch, and a couple of stagehands literally had to pick up Tony and throw him off the set. Judd says that as soon as Tony left his hands after tossing him off the lot, he realized that this was exactly what Andy wanted.
Yeah.
And of course, the next day, there were headlines in all the trade papers about how Tony Clifton was dramatically fired from Taxi.
Oh my God.
It is said that Andy only broke character as Tony Clifton once. He was performing as Tony at the Improv in Hollywood when he ran into Freddie Prinze backstage. Freddie had been super into drugs at this point and wasn't doing well, but he walked by and said, "Hi, Andy," which one of their friends said was weird because Freddie hadn't talked to anyone at all for a long time, like literally not even a hello. But as soon as he referred to Tony as Andy, Tony fucking lost it. He was like, "My name is Tony fucking Clifton. How dare you refer to me as that hack Kaufman? Fuck you. Fuck him. Blah, 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 blah."
That's gotta be so fun.
Is it? Like being someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Especially if you're like this timid, like,
Yeah.
goofball sweetheart and you get to
Yeah.
be like, I get permission to be an asshole.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never want to be an asshole.
You're whack.
Do you think that's what Beyonce does when she's Sasha Fierce?
Yeah, right? Like it just like let it all out. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess Freddie was not having it because Freddie lunged at him and pinned him against the wall.
Oh my God.
And he put pressure on Andy's neck with his forearm and was like, "Don't you ever talk to me like that again in your fucking life. Who do you think you are?" And just kept choking him. And Andy's like, he's choking, like he's going to pass out.
Yeah.
And Andy was trying to say, it's Andy, but it was barely coming out because he was being choked.
Yeah.
And finally, Freddie let him go and walked away. And
that was the only time?
Literally the only time anyone ever saw him break character.
He was about to die?
Yes.
You know what's funny? What if you hated Andy, but you liked Tony?
Yes.
So you would like kick it with him when he was Tony. But then you become a fucking meditating weirdo. You'd be like, all right,
I'm out.
I'll see you next time, Tony. Catch you later.
See you next week, Tony. I think this must have been what it was like to be around Joaquin Phoenix when he was trying to be a fucking rapper.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck.
I forgot what was the name of that movie too? That was Ben Affleck's brother, right? Casey Affleck?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, fuck that fool. I fucked that movie.
In 1979, Andy was nominated for a Golden Globe for his performance on Taxi.
Nice.
He attended the ceremony and at the after party got into an altercation with the only member of the Taxi cast who didn't fuck with him, Jeff Conway. You guys know Jeff as Kenickie from Grease.
Yeah.
Yeah, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Anyway, Jeff didn't get Andy and he didn't like him. And the whole Tony Clifton incident on set really set him off the most, to the point where Tony and Jeff almost got into a fist fight on the set and had to be separated.
Oh, wow.
Everyone thought it had kind of blown over since, they threw Tony off the set and then the next week Andy came back and he was just Andy, regular. But since Jeff didn't really fuck with Andy anyway,
he's going to hate all these little quirks about him.
Right. So everyone thought it blew over, but it didn't. And then at the Golden Globes, one thing led to another. Andy spit at Jeff and Jeff started punching Andy in the face.
Oh my God.
This ended up in all the tabloids and of course Andy loved it.
Yeah.
In April of 1979, Andy had his famous Carnegie Hall show. It had been Andy's dream to play Carnegie Hall ever since he started performing, and this was really one of the heights of his career, and it would be the height of any performer's career, really.
Right.
Playing Carnegie Hall is a huge deal, and Andy does all of his hits. Tony Clifton opens the show. Aww. Andy plays bongos. He does Foreign Man / Latka. He does Mighty Mouse. He does Elvis. He does this bit where he invited this old lady in the audience to come up and dance. And the old lady dances, and she dances faster and faster and faster until she dies on stage of a heart attack. And then they stop the show. Like one of the stage-hands comes up and he's on the mic and he's like telling the lighting guy, he's like, turn off these lights. I said, turn off these fucking lights right now. And then like a paramedic comes out or something and like checks her and they're like, she's dead. And that's just when they keep the tension. They're building the tension so much until the audience is like, oh shit, this might be real. And then Andy comes out and starts doing like a Native American healing dance on top of the body. And then she's healed and she's revived. At the beginning of the show, he said that since it was his dream come true to play Carnegie Hall, he invited his grandmother, who was sitting in the front row, and he told his grandma to sit like on this little chair to the side of the stage so that she would have the best view of the action. And his grandma sat there the whole time and watched the show.
Aww.
And then at the very, very last part of the show, he invited his grandma back up on stage. And then she takes off her wig and her makeup, and it's Robin Williams.
What? Oh my God.
And then when the show ended, he revealed to the audience that a line of school buses were waiting outside to take them all for milk and cookies. Which after this would become a tradition of Andy's bigger theater shows. After the milk and cookies, he told everyone to meet him the next morning on the Staten Island ferry where the show would continue.
What the fuck? Oh my God.
So Andy was living his dreams and had a level of success that was unprecedented. He was a superstar and he was doing exactly what he wanted to do and having a great time doing it. But despite being one of the biggest stars on TV, Andy also worked part-time as a busboy at Jerry's Famous Deli in Studio City.
What?
So that he would, quote, have something to fall back on.
Oh my God. You ain't falling back on that shit. You're falling straight to the floor, my dude.
His friends say that they suspected he liked that job because it was a great place to sort of people watch and, just observe.
Yeah.
He would also do shit to purposely antagonize his customers, like clearing the table when they're still clearly eating.
Oh, I hate that.
To the point where people had to chase him down to get their food back. So Andy is one of the biggest comedy acts in the country, but Andy feels like he'd like to switch things up a little bit because now he'd do shows where, just like he'd done his whole career, he'd experiment with something that was meant to challenge or antagonize his audience. And the audience would basically just yell at him and heckle him to do Latka, or do Mighty Mouse. But remember, he's super into wrestling, and he had incorporated some wrestling into his act already. But now he was going to take the whole wrestling thing to the next level. He wanted to be a professional wrestler. So he started traveling around the country on the wrestling circuit and offering $1,000 to any woman who could beat him. And he'd go around making really sexist remarks like women should be barefoot in the kitchen and stuff like that to get the audience to really hate him, and especially the women to really hate him. And he also wrestled women on TV and started billing himself as the world's first intergender wrestling champion. But people weren't really into this sexist wrestling persona, and his audience began to turn on him even more than ever, and those appearances weren't going well at all. And that was sort of the beginning of the backlash against him.
Oh, no.
And the problem was that Andy was already being called a genius in a lot of circles. And he was so devoted to his own artistry and quote unquote genius that he just couldn't and wouldn't accept criticism. He'd be like, they just don't get it. This is art. This is my art. I'm a performer. This is artistry.
So instead of like toning down based on the criticism, he just kept on trucking.
Right. Yeah. And no one had the balls to tell him when things just weren't funny. Not that he'd listen even if they did. But when you do see the wrestling stuff, at least for me, I don't think first of all, I'm not really interested in wrestling, and I just don't think the wrestling stuff is funny. But I get he thinks that he's this like performance artist, and this is just part of it. I mean, I get where he's coming from, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's funny. Meanwhile, Andy had sort of been exhibiting symptoms of obsessive compulsive disorder his whole life.
Right.
But his symptoms were really starting to exacerbate. He'd have to walk around his car 3 times to check every single lock.
Oh, fuck.
He had a hand-washing compulsion and was obsessed with everyone around him washing their hands too.
I have that.
No, but you've never been like, did you wash your hands? Yeah.
No, not of other people, but of myself, yeah.
He became very obsessed with the foods that he ate. Like, he had to have exactly 7 olives a day, no matter what.
Ooh.
And
that just sounds like a good move, though.
Didn't Michelle Obama used to joke that Barack has to have 7 almonds a day or something?
That's funny.
So even for Andy, having his 7 olives or whatever, even if it meant stopping everything he was doing that day and driving for miles to get like that 7th olive, if he had 6 already, he would do it. So it was really starting to interfere with his life. And it was getting kind of rough. His friends and family urged him to seek help, but he was worried that therapy or medication would cause him to lose his artistic edge.
You
know, I thought I had come up with something really insightful and a smart take that Kanye West is a new Andy Kaufman, but apparently that's a thing that the internet realized a long time ago. So I was like, damn it. In 1981, Andy appeared on the ABC Live variety show Fridays, which was ABC's answer to SNL. And now we're knee-deep in the Andy Kaufman backlash. During this appearance, Andy was in a sketch about 4 people who were at a dinner table, and every couple of minutes, someone would leave the table ostensibly to use the restroom, but in reality, they were going to go smoke weed, and none of the other characters knew that the other people at the table were getting high. Anyway, so it's Andy's turn. The other 3 people did it, right? Now it's Andy's turn. He gets up, and when he comes back, Andy refuses to say his lines. He says, "This is stupid. I won't play stoned. This is dumb." And the other 3 characters on stage try their best not to break character and to try to sort of improv their way through it. But Andy keeps sabotaging them.
It's live?
Yeah, it's live.
Oh, great.
That's when one of the other 3, Michael Richards, aka Kramer, finally breaks character. He gets up and he grabs the cue cards, like right off camera, and he throws them at Andy and tells him to read his damn lines.
Oh, fuck.
So Andy grabs a glass of water and throws it at Kramer.
Ooh.
And then a fight breaks out, and the crew members jump in to try to break things up as they quickly cut to commercial. When they come back, there's only a couple minutes left before the end, and they abruptly say goodnight. Anyway, the phone lines at ABC were lit up because people were furious with Andy and worried that someone was going to get hurt because of his shenanigans.
Yeah.
It was a huge scandal and played out publicly all week until the next show when Andy appeared in a videotaped apology. Since Andy's death, Kramer and one of the producers of Fridays has said that the incident had been staged between the three of them, but no one else knew what was up. That's why when you watch the clip on YouTube, all the other actors are like, because the other two actors on stage are women. They're like really uncomfortable.
Right.
And the crew jumps in right away because they're like, oh, fuck, like they're gonna get hurt, you know? So the crew jumps in. Everybody else was like, no one else was in on it except for those three.
Okay.
So this was another incident that I don't think played well for Andy.
Yeah, like he kind of liked the publicity, like with Tony Clifton getting punched and then getting kicked out. What was the other thing that happened?
When he got punched out by Jeff Conway.
Oh yeah, he liked that kind of publicity, but it's kind of getting too much.
Right. And then the sexism with the women.
Oh, right. He likes to rile them up.
Right. And it wasn't a good look. And then I think people are already like, oh, look, he always just takes shit too far.
But he never breaks his character for long enough to show people that he's in on it.
Right.
That's the problem. Like, you gotta show that, like, the women wrestling thing, he knew that what he was saying was wrong.
And there was no wink to the audience.
Exactly. So, but he needed to take that second to do that.
Yeah, so it didn't play well for him, and it just kind of pushed him even deeper into this public backlash because people were like, I love the saying, you fucking play too much. People were like, you fucking play too much, Andy.
I love that saying too. Because you know when you're having so much fun being a dick and then finally someone snaps.
Right.
Yeah, it's just funny always.
So I think that would be my biggest, I guess, red flag for a guy if I'm dating a guy and I ever have to say, you fucking play too much. Like, that's not the type of guy I want to be with.
No.
So anyway, meanwhile, Andy became really obsessed with sex workers.
Oh.
He was having sex with a ton of these girls constantly.
I was just thinking, like, because you haven't said he's dating. He's, like, single, right?
Yeah, he's single. He has, like, he dates a couple girls on and off, but nothing too serious. It's mainly the sex workers.
Okay.
Like, he'll walk into a brothel. This was even, I think, a scene in the Jim Carrey movie where he walks into a brothel and he's like, they ask him, they line up, you know how they do at the Bunny Ranch?
Yeah.
And then they're like, which one do you want? And he's like, all of them. And he has sex with like 12.
Nice.
So he's having sex with these girls constantly and spending a shit ton of money on them. Ironically, though, this made his mom happy because she figured that at least this was a sign that he was a quote-unquote normal guy with quote-unquote normal sexual desires.
Mm.
A red-blooded American male.
You don't know what they doing in there, girl.
They rubbing butts.
Hell yeah. Nothing about this shit is normal.
And through all of this, Andy decides to double and triple down on the wrestling thing.
Oh, man.
He gets into a public feud with the wrestler Jerry Lawler, which results in the two fighting in the ring and Andy seriously hurting his neck, which briefly made Andy believe he was paralyzed.
Oh, wow.
But he recovered, although he still required the use of a neck brace for months.
Wow.
He then continued the feud with Jerry Lawler, famously provoking him into another fight, this time on the set of Late Night with David Letterman while he was still in the neck brace.
Oh, wow.
So he was still fucking hurt. And he started threatening to sue Jerry when he emerged defeated and injured once again. Years after Andy's death, Jerry revealed that the two were friends that had staged the fights, but that Andy's neck injury was real.
Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, Transcendental Meditation, which I didn't realize had one big governing body. But anyway, they didn't think that Andy's public persona exemplified the values of TM, and they kicked him out.
What?
Yeah.
How do you kick someone out? Can't he just keep practicing?
He ended up like just continuing to practice for the rest of his life, but it did hurt him really deeply because remember he was taking courses on being a teacher. He was a teacher.
Yeah.
So
he's not involved in the community now.
Yeah, exactly. He would go to retreats and stuff. You'll see it in his timeline. Like it'll be like a 3-week gap where he's like at a retreat in Big Sur with the TM people.
Oh, that sounds tight.
So it really hurt him deeply. I think that was one of the only things in his life that I think like really, really hurt him.
Okay.
He continued to do live shows around the country and make TV appearances, including 10 appearances on Late Night with David Letterman.
Wow.
Finally, in February of 1983, Taxi was canceled. It had been canceled once before by ABC, but it was immediately picked up by NBC, where it ended its run. Also, in 1983, we're still balls deep in anti-Andy Kaufman fever, and producers decided to let the SNL audience vote if they ever wanted to see Andy on the show again.
Wow.
This was after like a series of typically weird and Kaufman-esque appearances on the show, but the last one was like it was like a wrestling thing, and it just didn't play well. Yeah, so Eddie Murphy presented 2 phone numbers, one where you could vote to let Andy stay and one where you could vote to fire him. Eddie read the fire Andy number super fast so that viewers couldn't hear it, and he told the audience to think really hard before voting because Andy was his friend.
Aww.
And the rest of the cast made similar appeals. But in the end, with a vote of 195,544 to 169,186, Andy was voted off the show.
Wow.
This really, really hurt him. And
Let's vote Justin Timberlake off SNL.
Oh, yes. I would call multiple times like it was American Idol. I'd be like, yes. I'd call it a text. Okay, so this really hurt Andy. And he always figured that he'd be able to make a triumphant return to the show, but he never did. The closest he got was a taped appearance a month later, thanking the audience members who voted for him. In December of 1983, Andy was diagnosed with a very rare form of lung cancer, large cell carcinoma, after exhibiting a persistent cough since about a month before Thanksgiving, and was given 3 months to live.
May, did he smoke?
He didn't smoke or drink, except when he was in character as Tony.
Wow, that's so wild.
And he ate very cleanly. So
yeah, he was all like straight edge, right?
Yeah. So he was very shocked at his diagnosis. It didn't even really hit him for a long time. His friends say that in the days following his diagnosis, he was like, yeah, I've got this cancer thing I need to figure out. I got to tell my mom that I have to do this show or whatever. So it was like just another thing on his schedule.
Wow.
And he didn't want to tell his family at first because his mom had just had a stroke and she was diagnosed with bone cancer. So that was like another, he didn't want to hit his family with this when they were already dealing with that.
Right.
So most of his friends thought it was a prank. Like, oh, here's Andy doing another character. You so crazy, Andy. And he assured them that it wasn't a prank, but he loved that they all thought that it was. By January, fans started to worry when he very quickly started looking very sick.
Wow.
But most of them thought that he was doing a new character and that this was another hoax. He had some radiation to alleviate some symptoms because it had already spread to his brain. The radiation caused his hair to fall out and Andy started losing weight, but Andy didn't give up. He thought he could cure himself by eating a raw fruit and vegetable diet.
Oh, no.
He also traveled to the Philippines to visit a psychic healer who allegedly performed a psychic surgery and told Andy he was cured. And Andy did start to feel better for a little bit after that, but as soon as he got back to the U.S., his condition deteriorated immediately. In March, the National Enquirer published photos of him looking really sick. And fuck those people, man.
Yeah, that's messed up.
And for a while, a lot of people still thought it was a hoax. But I think that when they saw that picture, it finally got through to a lot of people that he was really sick.
Yeah.
On May 16th, 1984, Andy died at age 35.
That's so unfair.
And it happened at the drop of a hat. He was diagnosed in December, died in May. Friends who were unable to attend his funeral took to asking other friends if they really saw his body in the casket, just to be sure he was really dead.
Wow.
300 friends and family showed up to the funeral, hoping, despite everything, that it was all just a prank.
Oh my God.
It didn't help that Tony Clifton made a handful of appearances after Andy's death. Which contributed to the notion that Andy's death was a hoax. In 1992, his daughter Maria found out that she was his daughter after successfully petitioning New York State for her birth records in order to find her birth family.
Wow.
She met her mother and her mother's family and was, of course, shocked to find out that her dad had been Andy and was saddened that they could never meet. She does a cameo in Man on the Moon.
Oh,
Yeah, so I thought that was sweet.
that is sweet. I wonder why. I don't know. People have their reasons.
What?
Like, I get the putting her up for adoption at the time he did because he was young and he didn't know what he wanted to do with his life.
Yeah.
But once he kind of had made something of himself, I wonder why not reaching out at that point. But then, like, time has passed and you don't want to confuse that. Yeah.
Right. You don't want to disrupt her life.
Her life. Yeah. She has parents, you know?
Right. Yeah. And she was, maybe when he started making it big, maybe like 10 years old, 12 years old or something.
Yeah. So a really complicated time.
Right. The rumors about Andy faking his own death persist to this day.
Yeah, you always see like, oh, here's an old dude, and it's Andy Kaufman.
And it's him, yeah.
Yeah.
So much so that in 2013, the Los Angeles coroner had to re-release his death certificate after a wave of public interest in his death started to take over the internet. In 2014, his business partner and his girlfriend at the time of his death wrote a book revealing that Andy did fake his own death and would be, in fact, coming soon.
Wow.
So for a lot of people, I guess Andy will never really be gone, just like his idol, Elvis.
That's kind of like so amazing, right? To like have lived this life where you still exist.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it would make him really happy.
Yeah, for sure. To know that this, like, still now.
But it also, I just feel so bad for maybe the people who can never really have closure, like the people in his family.
Yeah, for sure.
That are like,
but maybe
gone.
They like it too, you know? Maybe they would feel the same way as him.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you hope, you know?
Right. It's just, imagine being his friend and just like not wanting to believe it because you loved him so much and everyone loved him so much and you're like, it's not true. And there's this glimmer of hope that it's not.
Yeah. And you'll see him again.
Yeah. So that's the story of Andy Kaufman.
That's so nice, May. That's a nice one.
Ooh, there was a thing that I read on his Wikipedia that I wanted to bring up because it was weird.
Ooh.
He also had he used to do a thing where he would actually answer his like mail that was declarations of love from women. And he would be like, "Yeah, meet me at my hotel room."
That's awesome. Oh my god.
Yeah, so he liked to rub butts, definitely.
Oh yeah.
All right. So he was influenced by this guy named Dick Shawn, who I'd never heard of. But then when I saw his picture, I was like, okay, that's one of those guys. You know, you would never know his name, but you've probably seen him like in the backgrounds of like old movies or like old TV shows.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so I was like looking at this dude, Dick Shawn's Wikipedia, and the section on Dick Shawn's death is fascinating. It says on April 17th, 1987, he was doing a performance at UC San Diego, which included his portrayal of a politician reciting such campaign cliches as, "If elected, I will not lay down on the job," when Shawn suffered a fatal heart attack and collapsed face down on the stage. The audience initially assumed that it was part of his act, but after he had remained motionless on the stage for several minutes, a stagehand examined him and asked if a physician was present.
Oh my God.
After CPR had been initiated, the audience was asked to leave the auditorium, but most remained, still assuming that it was all part of Shawn's act. Many began leaving, still unsure of what they had witnessed, only after paramedics arrived.
Wow.
That's some Andy Kaufman shit also.
That is some Andy Kaufman shit. That's kind of creepy.
So creepy.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being with us this week. Hit us up on Instagram and Twitter at Drama Club Pod and on the website dramaclubpod.com.
On the hotline, 505-539-0556. Leave us a tip on our website if you want to, if you can. $1, $2, $5, $100.
$100 billion.
Or I will take a job as a bus girl at Jerry's Famous Deli.
Yeah.
Yeah. So other than that, we'll talk to you on Monday for our Afternoon Delight episode.
Bye.
However, whatever with your however.